Okay, yin class today, really going to help you feel grounded, working on the hips as well. You're going to need 2 blocks, maybe some cushions and a strap. Remember, strap can be belt, can be scarf, can be anything like that. So just make sure you've got those handy. Maybe you turn down the lights, you have a really nice playlist on, and really allow yourself to just completely settle in. So don't have any distractions around you. Okay, we're going to get started. We're going to come all the way down to our backs, grabbing hold of one of your blocks already. And then the other one, just keep it behind you. We're going to have our block this way. And then all the way down between the shoulder blades. And then the other block is going to be the same height so that our head can rest onto it. So lower yourself down nice and slowly, so that block is right in between those shoulder blades, and then as you take that head back, your head is then resting on that block behind. Take the hands out to the sides. Now you can either have your legs long or in this reclined butterfly, so soles of the feet together, knees out to the side. Close down the eyes and just let those shoulders hang down by the sides, palms facing up. And feel the chest start to open. Starting to feel those shoulders dropping down away from the chest. If you're in that butterfly, the knees are just falling out to the sides. And really feel that belly rising and falling. Try to feel like the whole of that the upper body is completely supported by the blocks. And check in with a body scan, just make sure that you're not holding any areas of tension. You might be clenching those glutes, so let them completely relax. Thinking about the jaw, taking the tongue away from the roof of the mouth. Feeling the belly rising and falling. Maybe you feel that breath is really expansive with our chest open. And just notice that a lot of our day is sat down with our shoulders rolling in, so that chest is becoming really compressed. So to take it in the other direction with these shoulders folding out, it's hopefully going to help you feel that air pass through even easier. Take 3 more rounds of breath here. Once you come to the end of that last breath, just slowly bring the knees back up and roll over to one side, gently tucking the chin to the chest so that you can take these blocks out from underneath you. And then keeping one block with you, if you can, go over to a wall or the door or anything that's going to be able for your feet to rest onto them. And then coming into this reverse tabletop. So you've got your feet on the flat surface, knees above the hips, And then we're going to put the block in between our knees so that the shortest side is facing towards your face, and then the other shortest side is facing towards your feet. So in theory, your knees are going to still be hips width distance apart. Your feet are planted really nice and strongly on that surface with that 90-degree angle. Place one hand on your belly and one hand on your heart. And ever so gently feel the knees drawing into the block, just to activate those inner thighs. And this is really working to helping our hips align. So they're both squaring off, sinking down into the ground. Fixing any uneven hips, any hips that aren't aligned, maybe one pulls up higher than the other. Keep this breath nice, inhales, belly rising. Exhale, belly falling back down. Relaxing all areas of the body other than those knees pulling into that block. Starting to come into our deep yogic breathing, so our 3-part breathing technique. Breathing in through the nose, out through the nose. Continuous breath on a count of 4, exhaling for 4. Filling up your belly, the back and sides of the ribs, the chest rising, and then finally all the way up to the collarbone. And then exhaling in reverse, so collarbone, chest falling down, back and sides of the ribs coming back in, and then the belly completely emptying. And repeat. I'll count you for the first few times. Inhale, 1, belly. 2, back and sides of the ribs. 3, chest rises. 4, air all the way up to the collarbone. Exhale, 1, collarbone. 2, chest. 3, back and sides of the ribs. 4, belly falling back down. Inhale, 1, belly. 2, ribs. 3, chest. 4, collarbone. And exhale, 1, collarbone. 2, chest. 3, ribs. 4, belly. Keep going. With your own count, maybe you increase to 5, or if it was really, really sticky, take it down to 3. Keep thinking about the feet being completely planted evenly on that surface, so the big toes as even as the little toes. Knees pulling into that block ever so slightly. Back of the hips grounded into the mat. Shoulders falling down. And the head feeling as heavy as it can be into the mat. Really hold on to this breath, hold on to the count of the breath to help you feel grounded, to help you feel in the present, right here and right now. Because you can't count your breath in the past, you can't count your breath in the future. So focus on that air coming into the body, all the way down to the belly. And then all the way back out. Any thoughts that cross your mind, just let them pass by like a cloud. Take 3 more rounds of this deep yogic breathing. making sure you're not squinting the eyes even though they're closed, and the jaw is really relaxed. Once you come to the end of that last round, take the block away from the knees, plant it down beside you, slowly hug the knees into your chest, squeezing those knees in, pulling the shoulders down to the ground. Maybe you sway from side to side, just massaging the sides of the spine, the erector muscles. And then roll all the way over to one side and slowly push yourself all the way up. Keeping one block close by, we're going to bring the right leg up, so we're in our low lunge. Coming into our lizard lunge, so our right leg in my case is to the outside edge of the right of the mat. And then taking the forearms down to this block. Now maybe you need to stack both blocks on top of one another, because remember we wanted this to be more of a passive rather than active practice. So come to a point where you can know that you're going to be able to stay for a few minutes comfortably. Thinking about the right knee drawing into the bicep and that left hip flexor sinking down to the ground. Hang the head really nice and loosely. And allow yourself to sink down here. Feeling that breath now filling up the back of the ribs and the side of the ribs, expanding to the ceiling. That head hanging even more, neck is completely released from the head. Keep breathing. Use this time to really focus on that breath, feeling how that focus allows you to stay still, allows you to open up and sink into this pose, into the here and now. With every exhale, release any tension that's building up. Coming back into that stillness, into that feeling of heaviness. Fully relaxed. Inhale, start to prepare yourself to move out of this side. Starting to take the head up, planting the hands down. Stepping the right foot back, coming into closed knees, child's pose. Maybe you keep the blocks in front of that forehead to rest the forehead on there. And sinking the hips down to the heels. Just allowing that left hip flexor to come back in towards the body. Checking that space quickly with the heels where they touch the bum, and just check to see if one heel is closer to the bum than the other one. And we'll check it again after we do this other side. And just notice if there starts to create less of a difference or maybe even more of a difference. So we can really start to learn about our bodies and how aligned we are and what side we really need to focus on when we are thinking about our alignment. Final deep inhale here. Exhale. Coming into the other side, starting to lift up our head, coming into that lizard lunge. So it's a dragon pose in our yin practice. So the left leg is to the outside of the mat, right knee is back, so you're stretching through that hip flexor, stacking those blocks as high as you need to rest the forearms onto them, and then allowing that head to fully relax down. Allowing that right hip flexor to start to open, that inner groin on the left side. Feeling that sense of pulling down to the ground. Just notice if you're really pushing the blocks away with the forearms, which is understandable. But then as soon as you notice it, just allow your body to sink further down, drawing those shoulders together. We're trying to be in as much of a passive pose as we can be here, rather than in our normal yang practice where we're always thinking about pushing the mat away and separating our shoulder blades. We're just allowing ourselves to sink down here. Remember to come back to that breathing. If at any point you can feel that fight or flight mode start to kick in, there probably is a point, especially with our hips, that your body, your mind will start to fight against this pose. So come back into the breath and really physically feel that exhale, expelling that negative energy, that tension. Preparing to come out of this pose nice and slowly, pushing yourself back up onto those hands and easing that left leg back, coming back into that closed knees child's pose, sinking the hips down to the heels, being really gentle with yourself, bringing that right hip flexor back into the body. Feeling heavy here. Just check those heels. Is there any difference? Are they feeling more aligned? Using everything that we started to practice at the start. Breathing into the back and sides of the ribs, even though the belly is a bit constricted in our child's pose. But that breath we can still take into all those other areas, bringing us back to that feeling of calm, of stillness. Really enjoying this lower back, gently opening, gently stretching. Preparing to come out of our child's pose, and we're going to be taking our legs all the way round to the front. So however slowly you want to get there, whether you want to keep your eyes closed, swing those legs round to the front, grabbing those blocks, taking them with you. Coming into our shoelace, so we've got our left leg long, our right leg is crossed over, and we're thinking about our right knee drawing down to that left foot, and then the right foot is beside us on the outside edge of that foot. So we're really opening up through the side of that right hip. Now, taking the blocks again, stacking them up, and then starting to take the forehead down to those blocks, however supported you need to be, however high you need them to be. Keep that right leg crossing over. And then sink the forehead down, coming into your half shoelace pose here. As you feel like you're sinking into this pose, absolutely you start to take the blocks away so you can start to sink down further. Feeling that really nice stretch down the whole of the back body, starting from the crown of the head all the way down to the tailbone. Really rounding through the back. Feeling those shoulder blades separating as the shoulder heads pull further down towards the ground. Remembering that that breath is there for you always to check back into, to use as your anchor. If you haven't already, maybe you take those blocks away, arching through that back even more, hanging that head even more. Inhale, starting to prepare yourself to come out of this pose. When you're ready, slowly lifting the head up. Just coming into a counter pose, just sitting just easily cross-legged. Taking the knuckles behind us, drawing the knuckles down, interlacing those fingers. Pulling the heart through the chest, taking that gaze all the way up. Just bending the spine in a different way. Exhale, tuck the chin to the chest, wrap the arms around you. As tight as you can go. Maybe you just swing from side to side. Coming onto the other side, so right leg long, left leg up and over. Thinking about that left knee drawing as close towards over the front of that right foot. And coming to the outside edge of that left foot. Grabbing those blocks again. Stacking them probably a bit too high to start with, just so that you can ease yourself in. And then start your forehead resting onto those blocks. That nice big curve in that back. And allowing the blocks to do the work of that neck by holding the head up. Still breathing nice and deeply. Feeling that left knee sink lower and lower towards the thigh. As you feel ready, maybe you take one of the blocks away. Sinking into that knee even closer. Just checking in, making sure that you're not squinting the eyes, you're really relaxing that space behind them. And the tongue is maybe away from the roof of the mouth, if that's going to be how you get that relaxed jaw. Maybe even the lips are slightly parted. Really feeling that breath, that air, all the way, so the ribs are expanding so much to the sides and so much to the sky. Maybe even you could do a big sigh on the way out. That sigh bringing you further down into that fold. Preparing to come out of this pose. Really slowly, hands planted down, inhaling through every single vertebrae. Back to that easy seat. Interlacing the hands behind us. Next inhale, draw the knuckles down, heart pulls through, gaze up. Just feeling the whole of the spine in this other direction. Pushing the knuckles down and pulling the heart in opposite directions. Exhale, hug your body, the opposite arm on top this time. Really try to reach the fingers as far around as possible. And maybe you just sway from side to side. Taking the hands away, coming into our deer pose now. So taking the right leg in front in this 90-degree angle, so the foot, the knee in line, knee and hip in line, left leg behind us. So the left leg, you've got your hip, your knee straight out, knee, and then the foot is down. Where you may need to put a block is underneath that right hip to stop you swinging over to the right side. So that's going to help you sit nice and tall. So decipher whether that's what you need to do. You could put a block or a cushion just underneath that right hip. And maybe the right knee just wants a bit of support as well, so that you can feel nice and supported rather than anything that's just kind of hanging in mid-air, because this is a double hip opener, so it's a lot going on. We're going to start off by folding forward. So again, grab your blocks. If you've just got one block now, just put it onto the tallest. And then start to fold all the way forward, resting that head onto that block. Trying to keep this left hip on the ground. It will want to lift up. So really think about keeping that down. If it does come too far off, it will mean that you just need to put a couple more inches onto that place that you're resting the head. Really feel that torso almost lengthening, so a little bit different to what we were just doing. So we want to think about the length of the torso and almost folding at the hips rather than allowing that spine to completely curve. Really slowly walk your head and your block that your head is resting on over to the right side. So you're twisting over that front leg. And again, just resting that forehead down, trying to turn at the waist so that you can get the whole of the chest square to the ground rather than the left shoulder lifting up too much. And again, you're really going to need to think about this back hip. Mine is lifting off, but just the least amount that you can get. Preparing to come over to the other side. So completely push yourself up to seated, taking a block or two blocks. We're going to lift both knees up to the sky, so you're facing the left side of the mat, and then coming all the way over to the back of the mat. So now that your left leg, the hip and knee is straight to the front, the knee and the ankle is straight out to the side, and that the right leg, your right hip and knee out to the side. right knee and foot to the back in this 90-degree angle. Again, maybe you want that block underneath that left hip so you're not swaying over to the side too much, so you can feel nice and lifted, nice and upright. Now, one side can feel completely different to the other, so absolutely just go with it, that is fine. Now, you can always decide to stay here or come into that fold over that front leg, trying to hinge at the hips, keeping that back nice and long, and then taking that head down to that block, whatever level you need it on. Trying to keep that back hip still down to the ground as much as possible. Maybe you take that block down a level if you feel that those hips are starting to become more mobile. Preparing yourself to walk that chest over to the side that's going to be over that front leg. Thinking about twisting the whole of the chest from the waist so that chest is square to the ground, that right shoulder is in line with the left. And you're going to really have to think about that back hip still sinking down to the ground, but don't worry, it will lift off a little bit. Super slowly inhaling, lifting yourself all the way up. Taking the block with you, we're coming down to line, so we want the block and that strap. Plant the feet down, knees straight up to the sky, hands out in front of you, big inhale, lift the crown of the head, activate the core. Exhale, using that core, rolling really slowly through every single vertebrae. Maybe it will feel nice to hug the knees into the chest again, flattening the whole of that lower back to the ground, so all the way from the tailbone, the shoulders squeezing into the ground, all the way up to the crown of the head. Now we're going to come into a revolved extended leg. So grab your block, place it out to the side, your right side. It's going to be far enough away that our leg is going to be resting on it, but you can absolutely adjust it. Grab your strap, put it around the underneath of the foot, and just grab hold of it, just so you can loosely grab hold of it. You don't want to have to hold onto it too close to the foot. You want to be slightly far away, that you've got a little bit of traction, but nothing too tight. And then either you bend up the right leg so that the heel is close to the bum, or you take the right leg long, it doesn't matter. And then we're going to start to take the left leg over to the right side. So you're holding the strap with your right side, with your right hand, and then take that left leg all the way over to the right. placing it onto the block, or maybe 2 blocks depending how low your leg goes down. So again, adjust the block to wherever your foot or that ankle rests onto it. And then taking the left hand all the way long to the side, thinking about that left shoulder, grounding to the floor and gazing over to the left side. So you want a gentle hold on that strap. Maybe that underleg, that right leg is bent up or straight. And you're thinking about that left shoulder really rotating into the ground. Slight bend in that left knee, you don't need to keep it active. Feeling that foot and the hand grow further away from one another as you come into that twist further with every exhale. That head hangs over to the left side even more. Coming into a bit of an active stretch now. So if you haven't already got the right leg bent up underneath, then do so. And take the left hand to meet it. So you're taking hold of the front of that foot. So you're in your cat pulling your tail. And at the same time as pushing the front of the foot into that hand, you're pulling the hand into the front of the foot. And you're still thinking about that left shoulder spinning down to the ground, and you're still gazing over to the left. And maybe you just take the grip into that strap a little bit stronger, so you can feel everything igniting. Staying here for 3, for 2, and 1. Really slowly release everything. Bring the left knee all the way to center, switching over to the other side. So taking that block over to the left side, wrapping that strap around the underneath of the right foot, taking the strap in the left hand, maybe you bend up the left leg or keep it straight, and then come onto the outside of that left hip whilst you take that right foot all the way down to the side. And then take your right hand long, gaze over to the right. Keeping that right shoulder into the ground. If it's not into the ground, maybe you just need to take that block a little bit higher or stack your blocks. That extended leg, even though extended, feels nice and relaxed, feels really heavy. Pulling that body round into this twist. That hand is reaching out with the palm facing up, receiving all of that positive energy. Check in with that face. Just make sure that space behind the eyes and the jaw are fully relaxed. Even though you're in this twist, try to get that air all the way down to the bottom of the belly. Feeling that belly expanding and falling. Coming into our cat, pulling our tail. So bending up that left leg if it isn't already. Grabbing hold of the front of the foot with that right hand. And at the same time as pushing that left foot into the hand, pulling that right hand into the foot, still drawing that right shoulder down to the ground, and then just gently pulling onto the right leg, really coming into this nice twist, gazing over to the right side for 3, for 2, and 1. Gently release everything, taking that right leg back up, taking the strap away. Coming all the way to our backs, hugging the knees into our chest, squeezing them in, getting ready for our Shavasana. So if there's any extra movements you feel like you need, you want to get a jumper or anything like that, or put on a nice playlist, do so now. And when you're ready, take the legs out long. Feet falling out to the side, closing the eyes down if they aren't already, palms facing up and hands away from the body. Really allow those shoulders to fall further down to the ground. The crown of the head lifting slightly so you create this nice length down the back of your neck. Face is really relaxed. You've got nothing else to do and you've got nowhere else to be. Hips feeling really heavy into the ground. That lower back. Trying to maybe get rid of a slight bit of that curve so you can feel really heavy and grounded. And there is absolutely nothing holding those feet from falling out to the sides. Allowing those toes to fully relax. That relaxation creeping up through the calves, through the knees, all the way to the hips. And every exhale, that lower body feels heavier and heavier. Starting to work its way up through the torso, all the way down the arms to the tips of the fingers. Shoulders fully relaxing into the ground with that next exhale. And finally up into the neck, into the head, into the jaw, into the eyes. Exhaling, feeling the whole of the body sinking further. Completely giving in, completely giving over to that feeling of relaxation. Starting to bring some movement back, so slowly wiggling the fingers, wiggling the toes. Starting to take those movements slightly bigger. Maybe you're wiggling your legs now, your hips. Coming into a really big morning stretch. As far away those fingers and toes as possible. Bending up the knees. Rolling over to whatever side is calling you. Staying here with that arm resting on the bicep. keeping the eyes closed. Still feeling that belly rising and falling. And whenever you're ready, start to push yourself up to seated. Head being the last thing to come up into your comfortable seated position. Hands onto your thighs, palms facing up. Feeling really tall, engaged here. Body is working to keep us upright. So a contrast from what we've been doing, moving us back into our days. We're going to take our hands to heart center and we're going to create this energy through our palms. So start to rub the palms together really fast, speeding up until you feel this heat creating almost like a fireball in between your palms. Keeping the eyes closed. When you feel that heat really building, place the palms slowly on top of the eyes. That heat radiating all through to the back of the eyeballs, through to that skull. Keeping the eyes closed, start to take the palms away slowly from the eyes and blink the eyes open, ready to start the rest of your day.